What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 138 of the Bread podcast. So, we had the Royal Rumble, which is one of my favorite pay per view events. Unfortunately, it was very underwhelming. I had some excitement for it, I did, but it was just very underwhelming, which is unfortunate because this is one of the big four pay-per-view events, and this is the start to the WrestleMania season, which should be very exciting for a lot of WWE fans. But unfortunately, between the Royal Rumble and what may be coming up, and especially the rumors that we're hearing about WWE, it's probably not going to be an exciting WrestleMania season. So, getting into some rumors, Fightful had stated that WWE is at an all-time low with morale following the Royal Rumble 2022, and that several wrestlers were discouraged and disappointed up and down the card. There is a lot of frustration with WWE's current direction among these wrestlers, and it feels like nothing matters outside a handful of wrestlers, which is something that has been going on with WWE for a very long time. It may have been a lot more attention to people outside of the handful of wrestlers, but ever since the PG era and John Cena, where, it was all about John Cena, and, especially when The Rock started coming back, that's kind of what it has been, unless the fans kind of force it, like we saw in 2014 with Daniel Bryan and with WrestleMania 35 with Kofi Kingston and with Becky Lynch. Usually WWE kind of put all their eggs in the basket with the top wrestlers or with the part-timers. So for example, we've seen it for the very longest of time with Roman Reigns when after the 2014 WrestleMania, starting in I forgot exactly when, but definitely that Royal Rumble 2015, they started to really push him. And they put everything into this guy, including bringing back part timers as well. In the women's division, it was mainly all about Charlotte Flair, sometimes Sasha Banks as well. And there's a few times where they'll try out with stars. And like you'll hear me state when I go into the Royal Rumble, the issue with WWE is that they go through this hamster wheel where they have the opportunity to push new stars, and they push new stars. Unfortunately, they do not give 100% into those stars like they would Brock Lesnar or Goldberg or Roman Reigns, for examples, or even Charlotte Flair. And when that happens, the fans, doesn't really react that well. Like with Big E, Big E's title reign, a lot of people said was pretty boring. It was very lackluster, and that's because WWE didn't put a lot, 100% into it. And then after fans complain about it, look where Big E is at now. He has been moved to SmackDown out of nowhere. In the Royal Rumble, he really was very underwhelming. And so because of that, then we come around to WrestleMania time and WWE not having the trust into putting on new stars to fill up these stadiums, especially with them going to AT&T Stadium. They rely on part-timers like Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, Goldberg, and some celebrities. So it's very unfortunate to hear that, wrestlers are very down about it. I think the addition of Nick Khan is kind of helping to it because Nick Khan doesn't have, a family history in WWE. I kind of, at least with Vince McMahon, it was his father's company. His son is involved. His daughter is involved. His wife was involved at a certain point. So there's this kind of a connection to kind of like not really take care of the wrestlers, but there was more emotions towards the wrestlers. Like we have seen the booking of AJ Styles on SmackDown. He was the face that run the place. Like we kind of saw with NXT, the letting wrestling fans kind of get a look of how the indies would run if it was kind of ran properly with NXT. And while yes, when NXT was really starting to get going, they was trying to pretty much take over the whole world, literally. It was still a fun time because we weren't worried too much about characters, and it was more about the wrestling in the ring with the perfect use of storylines a lot of time. Um, but ever since Nick Khan has entered the picture, it's pretty much ran as a business, pretty much like Walmart. The the customers, well, the casuals are kind of happy with it, but we all know the shitty practices that's going on behind the scenes. I feel like that's a pretty good example. Also, with this rumor, several wrestlers, as Fightful had stated, feel they are less heard than ever before. Their attempts to communicate with Vince McMahon are either dismissed, ignored, or end up working against them, which we have seen plenty of times too. It just feels like now with the addition of Nick Khan, a lot of the issues that has been going on with WWE since the John Cena era is kind of being blown up. Like it's getting kind of like blown out of proportion, I guess I should say, where a wrestler would suggest something and they do the complete opposite. And it kind of makes what's going on with Mustafa Ali kind of sound really true. He has stated over and over again that he just wanted to change the way that people look at wrestlers that look like him. Normally, people who look like him, typically from Middle East or Indian or something like that, are normally booked, or even people outside the US, truthfully, are booked as the foreign heel, the person I hate America type of situation. And fans, especially the way that America is today, will really react to that. And props to Mustafa Ali. Like I said it before, I'm such a big fan of his because he what he is trying to do in WWE is what he was trying to do outside WWE when he became a cop, and he wanted to become a cop in Chicago, kind of to bridge the gap between of how the community interacts with the cops and how the cops interact with the community. Unfortunately, how it is sometimes, a good apple sometimes can't be a good apple, and he decided to leave the force, and he later on became a wrestler. So the fact that he is like this frustrated, I completely believe like he is very frustrated. They probably did tell him that they wanted him to be, the foreign heel, I hate America type of situation, instead of, like I said before, using that unique opportunity to kind of bridge the gap between, WWE and, Islamic wrestling fans, or even, or even Pakistani. I think he's part Pakistani. Correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, like fans, non-American fans, to kind of bridge that gap, kind of what they would do with Jinder Mahal when they went over to India. When they went over to India, they used Jinder Mahal like he was the biggest face of WWE. But when he comes over to America, he is the foreign heel of I Hate America. So I definitely like 100% believe this story that is going on with Mustafa Ali, that he was offered a gimmick that he completely had disagreed with and is pretty much like, let me go. I'm not doing anything else. There was also another rumor too, I forgot where I read it about, that someone actually had offered for Mustafa Ali to be in the Royal Rumble, and they would be eliminated by him, kind of to like get him over in some type of way. And we saw that Mustafa had tweeted out that he does not want to be in the Royal Rumble, that he just want to be let go. Unfortunately for him, it's the rumor is out there that WWE is not willing to let him go, that they see value in him, and that he at least has over a year left on his contract. So unfortunately, it seems like he may be in the same position as Brody Lee before he was let go by WWE, when he was trying to be let go, and instead WWE added more time to his contract and just refused to let him go. So it's just really a shame that, when you are letting go people who really want to be in your company, but yet for someone who doesn't want to be in your company, you don't want to kind of let them go. Another rumor too, and of course this whole situation with Shane McMahon has been crazy, that he was let go quietly. I'm still trying to feel out the information here because I slightly don't believe it. Like, I don't know what do we mean by he was kind of like let go. Is he let go as in we'll see you next year, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania type of situation? Or was he let go like we had saw back, I think it was 2006 or something like that, where he completely left WWE, went on and did his own company and stuff like that. There's more details coming out that's saying that the reason why he was let go is because he wanted to make changes in the Royal Rumble and he wanted the Royal Rumble to kind of reflect around him, which makes completely no sense because Shane McMahon may be one of the only McMahons that's liked right now. He doesn't have that star ability for the Royal Rumble to be placed all around him. Like, I don't know if he was thinking if he wanted to have the most eliminations or if he wanted to win the Royal Rumble, which would have been crazy. I mean, if he won the Royal Rumble, he's going to go against Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar for a title? No. So I'm glad if that was what he wanted, that he didn't get his way, because that was the dumbest thing. It's one of the dumbest things I've heard so far in 2022. But apparently, him and Brock Lesnar was both pushing for certain changes in the men's Royal Rumble match. Brock is the one who got most of what he wanted, of course, where Shane complained to several people about it and behaved unprofessionally. I don't know what we mean by unprofessionally, if he's talking about kind of what Sasha Banks and Bayley did when they lost the tag team titles, where they sat in the hallway and complained out loud, or if he's like going around cursing or something like that. But yeah, sometimes, like I had said previously before, I take these rumors with a grain of salt unless there are like multiple sources confirming it. Just mainly because we don't know. We don't know. We really don't know. Of course, WWE is quiet about this. We probably won't know. Like, they could easily, as much as Vince McMahon and people in WWE change their mind about stuff, especially what happened with Samoa Joe, where he was let go and he was brought back into NXT. They could easily have told Shane McMahon, you know what, go home, chill the fuck out, take a breath, go buy some sneakers, and we'll talk about it next week type of situation. And he can come back at Elimination Chamber or have a match at WrestleMania. So that's why I'm like, kind of like not necessarily believing 100% this story, because there's like, I don't know what do we mean by he was let go type of situation. So Jade Cargill, who is my spirit animal now, she had went on Talk is Jericho, kind of the tradition. If you want to hear the you want to hear the juicy details of something, you go to Talk is Jericho. So she was on Talk is Jericho, which I haven't listened to fully yet. And she spoke about how, she was offered to work with WWE and she had turned it down. And she said, I quote, "They called me back. I'm not going to name the person's hand that I shook. They wanted me. The problem they found that they had mixed feelings about was that, like I mentioned, I don't need wrestling. I don't need to do this. And a lot of people, especially at the tryout, need this. This is how they feed their families. They've been doing this forever, and for them to get to this point, they will give anything and everything to do it." So they were like, we want you, we're going to sign you, but we're kind of worried about how bad you want this. And we're not just some reality show. We're not just glitter and lights and camera. And I was like, okay. He was like, also, you have a child? And I said, yeah, I do. And they were like, well, what are you going to do? Because at that time, my daughter was 2. And I was like, well, thankfully, because I have money, we can pay a tutor to help tutor my child. Being that we have to relocate to Orlando, I can have a 24-hour nanny to take care of that as well. But they were grilling me about it, in which I was kind of cut off. I was like, well, my spouse can travel with me wherever I go. This could be easy for me. I thought about all the precautions to this. Like, I've been warned about the traveling. I get it. He said, yeah, I get what you're saying, but this is your family now. I want you to know that. I was like, I get it. I totally understand that, but I've thought about it and I want it. I've been training for this. This is what I want. And they're like, all right, well, we'll see. So they sent the contract. They wanted me to do it. AEW came about and I came here. I got the experience and I felt calm. I remember she was talking about Chris Jericho, and I had this conversation in the car. It made me feel at ease about the decision that I wanted to make. I didn't have to relocate. I felt at home. I can call the owner of our company, Tony Khan, and talk to him. He knew my name. He knew my purpose. He knew what I wanted to do this and that it mattered to me. I wasn't just a number. I wasn't just this person. Like, who was this person? He knew exactly who I was, so that made me feel comfortable. And yes, the other company was pissed off that they sent me this 100-page contract, but I made the best decision for my family and I made the best decision for myself. I mean, look at me. I don't think I would be anywhere close to my current position if I was in WWE. Which I the thing that I don't get sometimes with companies is that they want their employees to care about the company as much as they do. I used to be in that position where I like you and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, where you give your all, you go above and beyond, and they ask you to do something like at the job I used to work at. My boss one time had called me because he called me on my day off and I was like a key holder. He called me on my day off because he needed my keys. And I was like, all right. And I went and met him with the keys. It was one time that I was needed to come in or like stay late or something like that. I forgot what it was. And I did it. And I would, work late. I would, go above and beyond, did all the reports. I was like a supervisor and I had like a manager over me. Like I was a supervisor, there was an assistant manager and a manager. Assistant manager didn't really do much. I did everything. I ran that stupid place, and it was to the point that when I got pregnant, the manager, not the assistant manager was like, I don't know what I'm going to do without you. The manager was so concerned that I was not going to come back from my maternity leave. And so, I did all this, did everything in the third. The assistant manager left. Everybody's like, she should be the one to get. Everybody thought I was going to get the promotion. I didn't get the promotion. I didn't get a promotion for like maybe 3 years, and I didn't maybe like 3 years after that. And I didn't get the promotion until the manager left and recommended me for the promotion. And then after that, I tried to be a manager, went above and beyond and everything. I didn't become a manager for like 5 years. Everybody and their mama got promoted after me. Once I finally got the manager position, I went above and beyond. I stayed late. I worked extra hours. I spent my own money on stuff. And, after a while, like the management had changed. And I realized that I was pretty much replaceable because a lot of things that, I was commended for suddenly was an issue. And it was like expected of me to go above and beyond. But I wasn't getting any compensation for going above and beyond. It was basically like, oh, you're doing your job type of situation. And so after I left, because it became like a toxic place for me. I was stressed, I was depressed, I was like irritable at home. I was working like 12 hours and I was only getting paid for 8 hours type of situation because I was salary. It was very stressful, and I left, and I'm glad that I left. And so realizing a lot of these companies, especially people in management, they want people to care about the company as if it's their own. I totally get what Jade Cargill felt here. Like, they sit there pretty much telling her, give up your child. Don't care about your child anymore. Don't care about your husband. We're your family now. Which is, if you know anything about business, if a potential employer is telling you that we're like a family, that is a total red flag there. Don't go for a job when they sit there and tell you that we're like a family. That's a big red flag, because that means that there is this expectation for you to sacrifice your personal life for the company. And that's pretty much how it was at my old place of work. It was commended for you to not want to have a work-life balance. Like, you're supposed to give your personal life for the job. And it's just something that it's not you shouldn't do that. Even if you don't have if you're single, no kids or anything, it's just you and your cat or your dog or something. That's not something you should do anyway. You shouldn't sacrifice your personal life for a business. So reading when I, heard about what she said about that, I'm like, I'm so glad she didn't go to WWE. Because as we see with the treatment of their wrestlers, you know, and it was just very telling. Like I believe what she said here, because I know people are like, oh, because she's with AEW and she feels type of way. No, I completely believe what she says because this isn't the only company that has this type of thinking where it's just like, well, I don't know how bad you want this. I don't know how bad you want this job. You are more worried about your outside life than this company. Like you're supposed to give your all. You're supposed to like sacrifice your left arm for our company, stuff like that. And hearing what she says, she already has the grasp of I want a balance work like she wants a work life balance, like she wants to be able to, yes, spend time with her kid. She was sitting there saying like I can do the job, I'm willing to do the job, but my family, they can travel with me, I'll have a nanny, this, that, and the third, which is like a crazy thing to do because Vince McMahon had his family on the road. Like he made the company, involved his daughter, his son, and his wife. There was I think it was a Royal Rumble where the McMahons were involved in like the main event. Like they each had someone representing them. And I think it was for a title match. I think it was I forgot which Royal Rumble it was. I want to say 2005. I think I might be wrong, but I think it was Royal Rumble 2005 where all four McMahons were involved. And so hearing that line saying, I get what you're saying, but this is your family now. I want you to know that. That's a big red flag. And if that's their way of thinking, seriously, I hope people don't sign with WWE. While the money may be good, and that's how it was with me. Like you feel as though like the money is really good, so you sacrifice it. You stay there because of the money and stuff. But that like the drain, like the mental drain from dealing with that, like you're mentally drained and it's not worth the money. It really isn't. Even though I make kind of the same that I made at my old job, I'm less stressed. I have a great work-life balance. Like I'm able to spend time with my kids. Like when I was working at my old job, like you know how it is when you have a long day at work, you want to get home, you don't want to be bothered by anyone. Like you just want to sit down or you want to just go to sleep sometimes. And, as a parent, like you can't really do that. Your kids want to, spend time with you and stuff like that. And it was to the point that I was like fucking annoyed with my family. And it's a shame. I'm keeping it real with you guys. It was to the point like I was fucking annoyed with my family. I just wanted to sit down and lay down somewhere. And I didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't want to cook when I get home. I didn't want to clean. You know, I didn't feel like doing my daughter's hair and stuff like that. And like at a certain point, you just have to like stop and be like, this isn't worth it. So kudos to Jade for kind of like standing up for herself and, making the right choice for herself as far as not signing with WWE. Because if that's their first impression that they're giving to you and you're trying to get with them, like I could only imagine how they are once you're in that contract. She wasn't even in the contract and they're telling her pretty much give up your family. We're your family now. You're with us. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this was all with her in NXT. It wasn't even with her on the main roster. This is just her with NXT. So it's just that's a crazy situation to tell someone. That's a crazy thing to tell someone. Um, so going back to another review, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That was kind of a rant. That was kind of a rant there. But, if you ever been in that situation, tweet me, shoot me, shoot a message on Instagram, just say, look, I completely understand. Because when you know, when you've been in that situation and you come out of it, like you completely understand, like that's a trigger. So having someone tell you, I don't know how bad you want this, we're your family now, that's a trigger. Um, so getting into the Jeff Hardy situation. So, Matt Hardy had mentioned that Jeff Hardy's test results have come back. It took them a while for the test results to come back, and it came back negative. And WWE was trying to, in my opinion, was trying to cover it up by offering Jeff Hardy to be in the Hall of Fame this year. And it's like, wait, you release him suddenly. I felt as though WWE kind of really overreacted to what was going on. Instead of just waiting for the situation to play at hand, just put out a statement saying, we're evaluating Jeff Hardy and his health. We're going to pull him from events until we figure out what's going on. You could have easily have done that, but instead they was like, nope, cut him. I don't give a shit how long you've been with us or how many, amazing matches and how you kind of piggybacking what Jay Cargill was saying. How much did fucking Jeff Hardy sacrifice for that company? The blood, sweat, literally blood, sweat, and tears that he put on the line for the company. The injuries and everything, and they just let him go just like that because they thought he was drunk or on drugs. Didn't even wait for the drug test to come back, and they released him, and then turn around and say, would you like to be in the Hall of Fame? Not with your brother. Fuck your brother. We want to just put you in the Hall of Fame. So he turned it down, which makes a lot of sense. Like the Hardy Boys should go in together. How you gonna induct Jeff Hardy and then not even acknowledge his brother? It's kind of like what they kind of did with the video package for Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Like they completely ignored the fact that John Moxley was with them. The only reason why you see John Moxley at the shot where Seth Rollins had attacked Roman Reigns from behind is probably because they couldn't get, and they didn't have any other angles except for that one. But it is what it is. Obviously, and plus people are all also thinking that the reason why they asked him to be in the Hall of Fame was to keep him away from going to AEW to reunite with his brother, which is going to happen. But it's like, you should have thought of that when y'all overreacted and released him. The moment that y'all released him, y'all pretty much said, I don't give a shit what happens to you. Like, I don't give a shit where you go. We don't want you in the company. So I hope he reunites with his brother. It'll be really cool to see them have a final run before they decide to call it a day and either become coaches or retire and something like that. I really like what they do with the veterans in AEW. Like we see with Sting teaming up with Darby Allin, kind of put him over with Arn Anderson. You gotta. That was more Jamaican than gunshots. I was trying to do gunshots, but the mouth. I pulled the Kofi Kingston there. But with Arn Anderson, helping out, coaching there. Billy Gunn just having the time of his life with his sons. Tully Blanchard. Who else? Even kind of like Chris Jericho too, definitely. So I like how they use legends in AEW. They use the legends to kind of help out folks, like with Taz and Jerry Lynn and Dean Malenko. They use legends over there to kind of help out the talent, not telling someone who's actively wrestling because they just turned 40 to say, you know what, you're over the hill, which is like, fuck you, 40 is not old. Okay, I'm 3 years away from that. It's not old. And telling someone like Finn Balor to say, actually, we're going to use you to put over younger talent, even though like you have years left of your wrestling life. We're going to have you put over other talent. But like I said, I hope that they do a run, kind of like revitalize the tag team division AEW, because there has been like so much attention on factions and everything like that. I feel as though the tag team division has been like not even cared for. Like we don't even really see the Young Bucks in tag team action like that because it's all about the Super Elite or whatever the hell they're called. And even with the best friends, it's a faction. Penta, with Penta Ray Phoenix. I mean, they were in a tag team match because they were the tag team champions, but unfortunately, they got injured. Like Santana Ortiz, it was all about the inner circle. So I hope that Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy comes back together as a tag team in AEW to kind of revitalize the tag team division so we can have tag teams again. I would love to see them versus Private Party. I would love to see them against the Lucha Bros. I would love to see them against FTR. Like, there's a lot of like dream matches that I know those tag teams have, and they like would love to face the Hardys, which is crazy because like I would be more excited. Like it'll feel like I forgot which WrestleMania that was that the New Day had. Was that WrestleMania 34 maybe? It was either 30, I think it was 34, where the Hardys came back and surprised everyone. Like, I feel like it's going to feel like that all over again. So I can't wait for that. I really can't. So, starting off with the women's Royal Rumble match. So, real quick, I really like the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. It's one of my favorites. Reason being is that I really love the surprises that come in the Royal Rumble match. Normally, Legends returns. There are surprise returns as well of who can remember John Cena returning as well. So when it comes to the Royal Rumble, the big surprise is who is coming back. With this year, a lot of people are saying that this is one of the worst Royal Rumbles of all time. I can see how you may feel that way because you remember 2020 and 2021 and a few years past, but believe me, 2015 is the worst Royal Rumble of all time. And if you don't believe me, WWE, out of the goodness of their heart, decided to put up the full 2015 Royal Rumble match with actual audio because it took place in Philadelphia. And I still to this day, am so thankful that I did not buy tickets and go to that Royal Rumble because that was really bad. That year, Dolph Ziggler he was so over at that point. People wanted him to win. He got eliminated and it was booed. Daniel Bryan was eliminated very early in the Royal Rumble and that was booed. And this was during the whole Yes movement. So after his title win. And then this was during the peak of, the underdog Roman Reigns with the blue contacts and everything. And the final three of the 2015 Royal Rumble was Corporate Kane, Big Show. Actually, the final four was Corporate Kane, Big Show, Blue-Eyed Roman Reigns, and Rusev, who was on the outside as if he wasn't in the match anymore. After it was down to Roman Reigns, people didn't realize that Rusev was still in it, but they started chanting his name. The Rock comes out, people pop, and he helped Roman Reigns attack the Big Show and Corporate Kane. Then Rusev tries to come in just to try to eliminate Roman Reigns. He got eliminated. Everyone booed. There were chants for "We Want refunds." There were other chants too. I think it was "Roman sucks" or stuff like that. The Rock was there. He held up Roman Reigns' arm, and the crowd booed. And you see the Rock's face, like, okay, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? So yeah, that was the worst Royal Rumble match of all time. I would say this is one of the boring Royal Rumble matches, especially when it comes to the men's Royal Rumble. Now, starting off with the women's Royal Rumble, you may see me look to my right here because I have my notes up, and then I have the order up of the entrance as well. The women's Royal Rumble was fun. My disappointment is the fact that a lot of the surprises was already announced. Now, had they not announced or had early returns for some of these women, the Royal Rumble probably would have been a lot better. People would probably would have said that this is one of the better Royal Rumbles. Maybe not the best, of course, but I would say people would feel like it's one of the better Royal Rumbles. So starting off with number one, out came Sasha Banks, Sailor Moon Sasha Banks. I really appreciate the cosplay. She came back from injury yesterday, which was a surprise. I was hoping that, we would have got her as a surprise entrant here. Don't have her return at SmackDown. Instead, had her return at the Royal Rumble. She comes in at number 1. Number 2 was Molina. Everyone wanted to see the entrance. We got the entrance, including a couple of bounces on that split. She comes in and she gets pretty much immediately eliminated. She was only in the ring for less than a minute. Got eliminated by Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks went and did the split as well. I wasn't really that big of a fan of that. I was hoping that they can go back and forth for a little bit. Number 3 was Tamina. And then number 4 was Kelly. Some people thought that it wasn't her. But it's something called age that happens to everyone. She was only 18 when she was with WWE, and now she's in her late 30s, I think she is now. And so it's her. You can clearly tell it was her, especially when she got in the ring and she didn't know how to run the ropes. She also got eliminated pretty early, which I thought was kind of weird when I was watching this. And then out came Aaliyah. So at this point, I'm sitting here like, this is a very bad start to this Royal Rumble. And I was hoping that things maybe pick up a little bit later. And when I noticed that Sasha Banks came out first, I'm like, okay, this isn't a good thing that you have Sasha coming out first. So I don't know if they're going to, if they're using her to prove that she can go, along the way or what. But however, next thing we know, Liv Morgan comes out after that. And then Queen Zelina comes out as well at number 7. So Queen Zelina then eliminates Sasha Banks. Big shocker. And so I'm a little confused because Sasha Banks is she was a favorite. She would have been a favorite to win this all the way. And I felt as though she was eliminated way too early. Like, we didn't even get like a face down between her and Bianca Belair, between her and Charlotte Flair as well. Even a bit of a play up between her and Naomi. But it is what it is. Now, of course, the rumor had came out that allegedly there were multiple changes to both Royal Rumbles, including same day. So if that is true, then that would clearly explain why these Royal Rumbles felt very unorganized, very sloppy. There wasn't anything really exciting going on, especially when it came to the men's Royal Rumble. So out next came Dana Brooke, and then out came Michelle McCool. And Michelle McCool lasted for a cool 20 minutes in this Royal Rumble, which I was a little bit shocked by. I didn't expect her to be in the match for very long. Then next thing you know, Sonya Deville comes out. She actually was wearing her coat because, when she's wearing the jacket, she's an official. Even though when she takes off the jacket, technically she's still an official, but WWE logic, she's a wrestler when she takes off the jacket. She decides to sit with the commentary instead of going into the ring. After that was Natalya at number 12, and at number 13 was Cameron, which, okay, cool. We get the Funkadactyl eventual reunion, everything like that. She comes out. Sonya Deville mentioned, she was like, wait, is that Naomi's friend? And they was like, yeah, they used to be tag team partners. And she was like, so if I was to like beat her up, it would hurt Naomi's feelings. And he was like, yeah. So she gets into the ring, attacks Cameron, and eliminates her right away. So Cameron's only in there for 51 seconds. And I'm like, there's something, it's not making sense here. And then, of course, now that Sonya is in the ring without her jacket, out comes Naomi at number 14. Her and Sonya Deville, start fighting it up and everything like that. And she gets eliminated by Sonya Deville. So I'm like, we're not making sense here. So out comes Carmella at number 15. She goes and walks around. She goes to commentary. Corey Graves is just, hyping her up on commentary. She goes to put on her mask to not break her face. Out at 16 was Rhea Ripley. She comes out, sees Carmella getting her mask, says, definitely not. Goes and starts attacking Carmella. and puts her in the ring. And then at number 17, we get Charlotte Flair, which was my original pick to win. Of course, this is before I actually saw who was showing up, even though I had a slight idea, but this was my pick at number to win, Charlotte Flair. So up to this point, to kind of go through some of the things that has happened. So from there, well, this happens a little later on, but nope, I'm wrong. Actually, at number 18 came out Ivory. With the right to censor, I popped hard for this. I love Ivory. I love Right to Censor. I thought it was a fantastic group. I thought it was a very fun storyline that they had. Now she comes out with the mic. She's cutting the promo about all the girlies in the ring and this, that, and the third. And she gets in the ring, still cutting the promo, everything like that. Rhea Ripley sees her, grabs her. She's still cutting the promo, and then she gets eliminated. She was only in there for 25 seconds. So I was like, Ivory is 60 years old. Okay, looks so good for her age. I would love to know her regimen because, wow. I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get much more of her. But, I guess if she hasn't been obviously training this whole time, that, all that she can do was to just take the bump. So after that, we had Brie Mode. So we got Brie Bella coming out. Crowd did react to her. Of course, she started the yes chant as well. And then at number 20 was Impact Women's Champion Mickie James, who came out to her theme song and also wearing the Impact Knockouts champion. Because they said Impact Champion on the lower third. It's Impact Knockouts Champion. And so I popped for it. I was like, do your thing, Mickie James. I wouldn't mind if she walked around the outside of the ring holding her title. It was a great moment in WWE wrestling history to have the outside champion come in and, because the WWE has their bubble. And I'm very appreciative that with Mickie James, who came out and said that was her stipulation in order for her to come back to wrestle in the Royal Rumble, for her to be recognized as the Impact Knockouts champion. Of course, I'm sure that she got cleared for her to use her music and for her to wear the title out. And come to find out, this actually benefited Impact. From what I read, that this was their highest audience for their last episode of Impact. So kudos to them. I'm very happy for them. A lot of people was talking about the Forbidden Door and everything like that. And I wanted to see, what is WWE going to do for Impact? Now, step one is that they got a lot of views. I'm hoping that it continues, because for people who just only watch WWE, there are other companies out there, past AEW. You don't have to solely watch AEW, but there are a lot of other companies out there as well. So I was very happy for Mickie James. So she comes in at number 20. Number 21 is Alicia Fox, which I was very surprised about. Alicia Fox, she had the tattoo sleeves too. I mean, she came out like, don't fuck with me. So she comes out, and God bless her, but some of her wigs is some of the ones that you see Auntie wears, but bless her heart. At number 22 was Nikki Ash. Rhea Ripley was looking out for her. She comes out from behind and starts attacking Rhea Ripley, and then we go into that. At number 23 was Summer Rae, who comes in. Her and Natalya immediately square off. They start slapping each other and everything like that. And then she goes to get eliminated, and Natty and Charlotte was waving by to her, because Charlotte, of course, had beef with her in NXT. But you probably won't know about that unless you really watched NXT. But the casual audience probably would have had no idea what was going on. Summer Rae only lasted for 52 seconds. After that, we had Nikki Bella, who came out as well. And then at number 25 was Sarah Logan. Now, there were some people who had an issue with Sarah Logan. I didn't have an issue with it. I was very happy because I was like, oh, snap, we're going to get a mini Riot Squad reunion. So she comes in, because Liv Morgan was getting attacked by the Bella twins. Sarah Logan, attacks them, get them away. You see Sarah Logan, you see Liv Morgan look at each other. Liv Morgan's tearing up. I'm sitting here about to tear up because I'm like, I know how it feels to have working with best friends, and then suddenly you're there by yourself, just trying to hold it down. And so you see her getting teary-eyed and stuff, and then out comes the Bellas. Before they were about to hug, and then the Bella attacks Sarah Logan and then eliminates her. Sarah Logan was only in there for 43 seconds. And then they eliminated Liv Morgan after that as well. So out at number 26 was Lita. Big pop from the crowd. After that was Molly Holly. I popped for that. I love Molly Holly. She was a Mighty Holly. And I had that prediction that maybe Molly Holly would come out and then her and Nikki Ash will have, a little beef. Because, only one superhero could be in WWE at a time. So she comes out, Nikki Ash immediately attacks her. I was cracking up for that one because I was like, yeah, that's right, Nikki, you tell her there can only be one superhero in WWE. So she attacks her, throws her in the ring, starts attacking her some more. Molly Holly gets eliminated. Molly Holly was only in the Royal Rumble for 20 seconds. And then at number 28 comes Ronda Rousey. As soon as she came out, I was like, all right, everyone, unless you picked her, unless you knew that she was coming. Well, I mean, everyone knew she was coming. It was a matter of if she was coming at the Royal Rumble or if she was coming at SmackDown or Raw. But she comes out at number 28. All bets are off. She comes in. At number 29 was Shotzi. Shotzi Blackheart, but now she's known as Shotzi. And people was wondering like, oh man, who's gonna be number 30? Because for the past couple of years, especially with major returns and stuff like that, normally number 30 is the biggest surprises of them all. It was Shayna Baszler. I don't know. I didn't get the memo. I don't know what the hell happened to Shayna Baszler's music. I loved her old theme. I don't know what the hell's going on with this theme that they got here, but Shayna Baszler come out number 30. I popped because I'm like, oh snap, this is the first time that Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are in the ring together. So I'm like, because the last time Ronda Rousey came to WWE, Shayna Baszler was in NXT. Now they're in the same ring, so I immediately popped for that. So then we get down to the final four, which was Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Charlotte Flair, and Bianca Belair. And then, of course, from there, Shayna Baszler got eliminated, Bianca Belair got eliminated, and it came down to Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, which, of course, Ronda Rousey eliminated Charlotte Flair to win the Royal Rumble. Now, my issues with this is that, first of all, they were asking for a lot of people to come back. It came out that Nia Jax was asked to come back. We knew that the Iconics was asked to come back as well, mainly because they let go of 5,000 people for the last 2 years, and they didn't have enough roster to fill up. They didn't have 30 women, basically, to fill up the Royal Rumble. So they had to rely on a lot of women coming back. Now, my issue with this is that, first of all, the women who should have been in the Royal Rumble longer were not in the Royal Rumble longer, and women who should have been dominant were not dominant at all. Bianca Belair only had one elimination in this Royal Rumble. Brie Bella had more eliminations than Bianca Belair. Natalya had more eliminations than Bianca Belair. And, Bianca Belair had a very dominant, Royal Rumble for the past 2 years. And, unfortunately, WWE, for some reason, can only concentrate on one storyline, two tops. We had the storyline with Ronda Rousey, and then the storyline with Sonya Deville and Naomi. And that was pretty much it. I mean, and then Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley as well. But we didn't get a showdown between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, which is a shame because it was only 7 people apart from them. We really didn't get Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler interacting with each other. They kind of looked like they was about to face off, but then Charlotte Flair interrupted it. But I would love for them to dab each other or something like that. I mean, they smiled at each other and just kept it moving. But I at least would have, I at least would love for them to at least interact a little bit more, especially from everyone going crazy of the horsewomen versus the horsewomen. Like, this would have been the perfect opportunity for the Final Four to be Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte Flair. Now, I don't know if Sasha Banks got eliminated so quickly because maybe she's not 100% to be cleared, which does make sense because why put her in the Royal Rumble to begin with? Also, to some of things didn't make sense. Sasha Banks was eliminated too early. Aaliyah had lasted longer than Sasha Banks. Also, going back to the Legends was out too quickly, except for the important ones, the Bella twins, Michelle McCool for some reason, and Lita, of course. But we see where Lita is going as far as after the Royal Rumble. We didn't really get a lot of reunions and storylines, like I said, with Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. We didn't get the showdown, like I said, with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, or with Sasha Banks and Charlotte as well. We also missing was anyone from NXT, which I was very surprised about. I thought they would at least have Io Shirai come up. Also Raquel Gonzalez come up as well, and maybe even a few of the NXT women. I know they're very green, but if the point of NXT 2.0 was to really put out this whole developmental system and have a pool of new superstars, wrestlers, superstars that I know that they call them. But if the point of the NXT 2.0 was to have a developmental system where you have people ready to be called up from Raw, SmackDown, where the gimmick is already created in NXT, all they're doing is just going up to Raw and SmackDown. I feel as though the Royal Rumble is the perfect time to introduce some of these people in front of the crowd, gauge a reaction from them, and then put them back down to NXT. And see who is ready to get, who the crowd reacts to and who the crowd doesn't react to. Who is ready to be seen in front of, not really live cameras because NXT 2.0 is live, but who is ready to be seen in front of, well, no, maybe NXT 2.0 may not be live, but who is ready to be seen in front of a very big audience. I mean, once you're on Raw and SmackDown, it's like all cylinders ready to go. Like, it's on the job training. So I feel as though the Royal Rumble is the perfect time to try out people. Also, Alexa Bliss was missing for some reason. Bailey, who tweeted out that she was watching at home. I guess she's not fully trained. And also Trish Stratus. She showed videos of her training and, stuff like that. So, I was looking forward to seeing her coming back as well. Am I upset that Ronda Rousey won? Not really, because I expected Charlotte Flair to win. And I'll talk about this issue when I get to the men's Royal Rumble especially. But WWE has painted themselves in a very big corner, especially when it comes to the WrestleMania season. People are looking for new stars, which isn't happening right now. Vince McMahon has to fill up the AT&T Stadium, which is 100,000 people. Plus, I should say, because they are going to try to break the record of Jerry World. So this isn't the time to take a chance on new stars. If this was going to a smaller stadium, you can do it. But the fact that we're going to AT&T Stadium, this year where you have to put 100,000 people who are willing to pay a lot of money to sit down for 2 nights of the WrestleMania. So both nights have to be packed with, one big, major match for the main event. And so Ronda Rousey was the best choice. I know that people were thinking of Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, stuff like that. I think Bianca Belair is coming at WrestleMania against Becky Lynch. It wouldn't make sense for her to win the Royal Rumble because I felt as though that because Charlotte Flair was in this Royal Rumble, that this was going to be about Charlotte's Flair title, and Becky's title, the number one contender for Becky's title, will be decided at the Elimination Chamber. So I'm not upset that Ronda Rousey had won. I mean, you saw the pop that she gets. She draws a lot of attention, whether it's good or bad. And so I'm not upset about it because I felt it coming. I felt it coming as far as with the choices of who wins the Royal Rumble, because we're about to talk about the men's Royal Rumble in a moment, and who's going to go on to main event WrestleMania. So going to the men's Royal Rumble, a lot of people were upset. This is the Royal Rumble that caused people to say was one of the worst Royal Rumbles. I felt as though, it was very boring. The crazy thing is with this Royal Rumble, the people who were in this Royal Rumble, except for 2 people, actually 3 people, except for 3 people, are current roster people. A lot of them is mid-card. And which is a shame because the issue is, and I'll get to this point now, is that WWE paint themselves in the corner. WWE, for the longest time, probably since maybe John Cena, The Rock Part 1, have relied heavily on the part-timers. We had The Rock come back numerous times. We had Steve Austin make appearances. We had Brock Lesnar come back. We have Goldberg. We have Ronda Rousey now. And it's not going to stop. Once Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar hang up their boots, I believe it's going to eventually turn into Roman Reigns. Once Roman Reigns, decides to either head off to Hollywood or he wants to spend more time with his family, they're going to keep asking for him to come back around this time until, either the WWE changes it up or until, suddenly they get to the spot where they run out of new stars. And they do work on new stars. I mean, we had Big E, who was champion 4 weeks ago. We had Kofi Kingston, who was champion a while ago. The thing is, whenever we get the new stars, they're not booked with as much excitement. Like they don't give 100% to the storyline or the matches or like the creativity to these new stars. And what happens is people find it boring. People love that Big E was going after the title. Once he got the title, it felt as though they got very lazy with the booking. And of course, people then turned around and said Big E's title reign was very boring. They were ready for him to lose the title. And what happens? They say, okay, well, let's go with the guy who we know is going to draw attention. Brock Lesnar won the title. People complain, oh, they're using part-timers. Well, yeah, because WWE constantly relies on part-timers because they don't have new stars. The reason why they don't have new stars is because they're not giving 100% to the younger talent or even current talent, or even give the faith to the current talent to be able to make themselves shine. They instead give a lot of the promising stars, dumb promos, dumb storylines, and things that damage them to where they're like, well, we just had, for example, with Rusev, we had Rusev do the storyline where his wife, cheats openly in front of him and he's depressed and things like that. Now that, he's done with it, I mean, it still has that, the bad taste in my mouth, as a creative or a creative writer or whatever. So I'm not going to really give him a storyline that I would give to Brock Lesnar. I'm very happy that we have Bobby Lashley, involved in the title picture and stuff like that. I was hoping when he went against Brock Lesnar that, it wouldn't be Brock Lesnar who was more dominant, that Bobby Lashley will be able to hold his own as well. But going into the men's Royal Rumble, so first up was AJ Styles. AJ Styles was my original pick. When he came out first, I was like, damn it. It's not going to happen this year. And there were some people who did pick AJ Styles to win it all as well. Number 2 was Shinsuke Nakamura. Shout out to the crowd for singing Shinsuke Nakamura's music the way that they did in NXT. I was hyped to see this matchup. I was hoping that we weren't going to get the low blows like we used to, but I was hyped to see these two faced off. Number 3 was Austin Theory, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of starting off, pretty good. Number 4 was Robert Roode. Of course, we had the TNA chants. Another shout out to the crowd for them TNA chants. I think they were in St. Louis, so shout out to St. Louis crowd for, y'all know when to chant. Okay, y'all chanted TNA, which I don't think I've heard that chant in a very long time. So, I was happy about that. Number 5 was Rich Holland. Number 6 was Montez Ford. Number 7 was Damian Priest. Number 8 was Sami Zayn. And then number 9 was Johnny Knoxville, who didn't last that long. He came in and he faced off against AJ Styles. AJ was like, I'll give you a free shot. Johnny Knoxville did the forearm. And then he got attacked from everyone. And Montez Ford went and did a frog splash. I think Rich Holland also did a move on him too. And then he got the Kalua kick by Sami Zayn, and he was knocked over the ropes. So Johnny Knoxville was only in there for a minute, like less than a minute and a half. I was a little confused because I'm like, this dude is known for taking bumps. I at least thought he was going to take like a big ass choke slam or something like that, or get put through a table or something. So they was just very gentle with him, which didn't make any sense with me. Like, why have Johnny Knoxville in the Royal Rumble if you were going to treat him like, I mean, Bad Bunny took crazier bumps than Johnny Knoxville, which I thought was a little crazy. So after that, we had Angelo Dawkins come out, Omos comes out, Ricochet, and then Chad Gable, Dominic Mysterio, Happy Corbin. After that, Dolph Ziggler. Sheamus at number 17, Rick Boogs at number 18, Madcap Moss at 19, Riddle at 20, Drew McIntyre at 21, surprise return there. 22 with Kevin Owens, 23 Rey Mysterio, 24 Kofi Kingston, only in there for 21 seconds. I was sad that his elimination escape spot was botched. I mean, we kind of knew it was going to happen sooner or later. Unfortunately, it happened with this Royal Rumble. Of all the Royal Rumbles for it to happen, it happened with the most boring Royal Rumble. I don't know why he didn't like try, like, because you could put one foot down. So I don't know why he didn't like try to keep his one leg up higher, and so that if he was to kind of miss the barricade, he would land on one foot. And you can tell that they were kind of confused at what to do, because the camera obviously showed that both feet touched the floor. You see one ref in the back, he was like, oh shit, man, he's out. And then the commentators, they didn't know what to do. They was like, did both feet touch the floor? And so they did the replay. For some reason, they decided to do the replay. I mean, you could, I know it was the right thing to do, but if they had sat there and was like, I don't think his feet touched, I don't know. I felt as though they could have got away with it, but unfortunately, that was it. And so I felt as though maybe it had messed up a couple of spots in this match, because he was eliminated so early. But like I said earlier, the rumor was that there were a lot of changes to this Royal Rumble, so planned spots was kind of probably like messed up and everything like that. Number 25 was Otis. Number 26, Big E. Number 27 was Bad Bunny, which was a very nice surprise. He did another Canadian Destroyer as well. People were happy that he was in the Royal Rumble until the finish. Then people complained that he was in the Royal Rumble. I'm like, look, we all had the energy that he was one, that everybody was saying how he was the best celebrity appearance in Royal Rumble history and everything like that. So let's all just keep the same energy. We were very happy that he was at WrestleMania. We popped for all the moves that he did and stuff like that. They decided to use him. He was available because people was wondering what he's going to do next year's WrestleMania. Is he coming back and stuff like that? He was used here. We got to see him again. And so I'm not mad that they used him because it's their own roster. So for people to say, oh, they could have took out Bad Bunny and put this person, that person. No, 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 no. Bad Bunny was a welcome surprise. I'm very happy that we saw Bad Bunny. Obviously, he loves doing it. He could have easily been one of those celebrities that, one and done type of situation, or did, all they did was a clothesline and then all the other people did it. But he came in as a celebrity into the Royal Rumble. He was in here for about 7 minutes. Bless his heart. And so I'm happy for him. Like if I was a singer and a wrestling fan and I got the opportunity to do this, I would do it as well. So bless him. I hope we do see him again. But don't be upset that he was used instead of somebody else. This is WWE's fault as far as their booking. They could have easily had made this Royal Rumble very entertaining, because this is their own roster that they use. Like I said, except for 3 people. They could have made this definitely entertaining. I mean, we saw that happened with the 2020 Royal Rumble. How entertaining was that? With the 2021 Royal Rumble. Okay, so they could have made this work. It was just so disorganized. So, number 28 was Shane McMahon, another little surprise. The McMahon that people deal with. He's probably the only McMahon right now that everyone kind of likes. He came back. Now, the rumor, of course, came out that he was the person behind the booking of the Royal Rumble, and he was trying to make the Royal Rumble allegedly all about him, which makes 0 sense. Like, dude, you wasn't going to win the Royal Rumble. And, you weren't going to like become the big star from the Royal Rumble either. Number 29, out comes Randy Orton to a big pop from the hometown crowd. And then number 30, which when it came down number 30, I was like, this is either Goldberg or Brock Lesnar. And it was Brock Lesnar, who came in, of course, did Brock Lesnar things and won the Royal Rumble. So, going back into this Royal Rumble, I know I didn't really go into details of what happened and my reactions to it. Mainly because it's just overall. Overall, the same issue that I had with the women's Royal Rumble, there really wasn't a lot of storylines being made. Now the Happy Corbin, Drew McIntyre story was there. Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville, but there really wasn't anything else. Like, no one came into this Royal Rumble and came out like better, if that makes sense. There really was, because of Kofi Kingston's botch, there wasn't any interaction with him and Big E. There wasn't any interaction with the Mysterios. Dominic Mysterio was eliminated three minutes later by Happy Corbin. And so the whole teasing leading up between the Mysterios, with Rey Mysterio teaching little Dominic, how to eliminate somebody over the top rope and everything like that, that never happened. And so I'm very confused about it, because the Royal Rumble would have been a perfect place if they were going to do a little eventual breakup. Normally the Royal Rumble is the place where you kind of test the waters there a little bit. Then, because going back with the women's Royal Rumble, I forgot to mention this. Brie Bella had eliminated Nikki Bella, which I guess makes sense, but it didn't make any sense because I'm like, I know that you gonna recall back to when Nikki Bella eliminated you, but I'm like, it makes no sense because that made no sense. Anyway, so going back to the men's, so it didn't make any sense for the Mysterios not to meet up. Also, with AJ Styles was eliminated very early. He was under 30 minutes, and he was eliminated by Madcap Moss. Madcap Moss only had one elimination, and that was AJ Styles. So tell me, what are we doing here? Like I said, how are you creating new stars? I mean, I guess unless Madcap Moss is the new star, which he's not, especially with that horrible ass wrestling outfit that they got him in. I don't know if he's about to chop trees or strip for somebody. But yeah, like I said, this was their own crew. And so they could have easily made this a lot more exciting. People was upset, of course, again, that Brock Lesnar won. They got to fill up Jerry World. And so Brock Lesnar is going to be involved, or Goldberg's going to be involved, and Roman Reigns is going to be involved. I'm sure if I was to really look into it, ever since maybe WrestleMania 31, either Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, or Goldberg was involved in the main events of WrestleMania. I should look into it just to double check. You can comment below too if I am right, but I'm pretty sure since WrestleMania 31, because that was Royal Rumble 2015 with the whole underdog thing with blue-eyed Roman Reigns, that the main event, or at least the championship matches, because I know there was one WrestleMania where Becky was the main event, but I'm very sure that the championship title match involved either Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, or Goldberg. And it's a shame. And this is going to keep happening, guys. This is going to keep happening until WWE, is able to themselves put trust into a new star, and until, the Vince McMahon, the writing team, and I'm sure there are writers out there that really try, but, they have to bring up new stars. Now, there was a rumor out there from, I think it was PW Insider, that said that Riddle was supposed to win the Royal Rumble. And a lot of people's like, well, they should have done that. I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't have made, truthfully, it wouldn't have made sense. For him to go against who? Bobby Lashley? Or Roman Reigns? You really expect Riddle to, after all that Roman Reigns has done, you really expect Riddle to take the title off of him? No. Look what they did with Riddle on Raw the following night. He raced in a scooter against Chad Gable. Now, Chad Gable, he is turning into Kurt Angle 2.0. And so I'm right now fine with his booking, because he is really, it's not Shorty G. So I am good with the way he is being booked right now. This is exactly the type of stuff that Kurt Angle used to do when he was wrestling. Great in the ring, did a lot of comedy segments and stuff like that, and he was put over. So I'm hoping that with Chad Gable doing a lot of these segments, that he will become more and more over as a wrestler, and that he will eventually lead to the Kurt Angle type status. But as far as with Riddle, they obviously had made it that Riddle cannot be taken seriously, and that I really can't see Riddle being taken serious as far as dethroning either Bobby Lashley or Roman Reigns. In the Royal Rumble, he was eliminated by Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar had 5 eliminations, which was actually short one of AJ Styles. AJ Styles had 6 eliminations, which I was a little surprised about, because I thought it would be Omos that would have the most eliminations, but he only had 3. And he only lasted for less than 5 minutes. He was eliminated by 20 people at that time. Um, like I said, this could easily have turned into an exciting Royal Rumble because this was their own people. Um, Johnny Knoxville had gotten actually no, it was Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon was more over than Big E. Big E, who was our champion 4 weeks ago. Big E was slightly in the Royal Rumble a little bit longer than Shane McMahon. He eventually got eliminated by Riddle and Randy Orton. However, he was more over. Shane McMahon was more over than Big E. It just kind of, this Royal Rumble was very boring. They could have easily had they could easily had fun with this. We could have had a showdown between maybe AJ Styles and Randy Orton. That would have been fun to see. We could have got a little more between AJ Styles and Omos. Could we had some more, taken out some people and added legends? Yes. We didn't have Cesaro. We didn't have Finn Balor. Allegedly, Finn Balor wasn't in the country. If I remember reading that, he wasn't in the country for this Royal Rumble. But we could have had Finn Balor in this as well. Truthfully, we didn't need Madcap Moss in this. He could have been taken out and Cesaro would have been in there. It would have been fun to see Cesaro and Brock Lesnar, go at each other. There was no NXT people. Once again, what is the point of having NXT 2.0 if you're not going to use these opportunities to show them in front of people? You could have easily had LA Knight. LA Knight would have been perfect for the Royal Rumble. Him in the ring with AJ Styles, him in the ring with Dolph Ziggler. I think that would have helped out, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. The little interaction that they had with each other during, it was a backstage segment that was on YouTube for WWE between LA Knight and Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. It was a little promising. We could have had, who else? We could have had Pete Dunne was out. We could have had Braun Breaker. You didn't put your champion in the Royal Rumble. This would have been a perfect opportunity to put Baby Steiner in the Royal Rumble. Like, you could have introduced him to people. You could have had Braun Breaker standing toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar. Like, we know that Brock Lesnar probably would have whooped his ass, but it still would have been a little exciting to see him, toe-to-toe. All right, maybe not Brock Lesnar, but Braun Breaker and Kevin Owens. Braun Breaker and Randy Orton, for example. It would have been exciting to see some of these matchups. We could have had Carmelo Hayes in there. Maybe, I think his name is Trick. I forgot. We could have had Carmelo in there. We could have had Santos Escobar, Dominic Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio. We could have had some returning legends as well. Because that was always the exciting part, was the returning legends. But I really didn't have too much complaint because, like I said, this was their own roster. They could have made this work. It's just that, as we saw, there was a lot of, scripts being torn up and people being rearranged and winners being changed. And so they really didn't give the Royal Rumble a chance to be good. I hope that WWE sees how much people are complaining, but it's going to fall on deaf ears, or they're going to definitely misinterpret the frustration that a lot of people are saying and say, well, it's because we don't have new stars. We got to bring back Goldberg now. And so it's like, no, you're not understanding. You have stars. It's not the fact that this is boring because, Brock Lesnar won, or it's boring because, no legends came back, stuff like that. No, it's boring because you have stars and you're not using them. Dolph Ziggler was very over in 2015 Royal Rumble. Dolph Ziggler is good. As far as selling, Dolph Ziggler is very good. I remember when Drew McIntyre was popular, 2020 Royal Rumble, 2 years ago. Drew McIntyre was on top of the world. Unfortunately, with the booking, people got tired of Drew McIntyre. He was the pandemic champion, and unfortunately, by the time the fans came back, the fans were done with him. Kevin Owens, he has fallen wayside. I mean, it was so much put onto this whole Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville just for it to not be finished, but it seems like that they're going to continue this on at WrestleMania, which makes not really that much sense. Hopefully Johnny Knoxville take a couple of more bumps. We didn't see Damian Priest, turn psycho and the Damian side come out. That didn't happen at all. He just got eliminated by Omos. Um, so this could have been an exciting Royal Rumble. I mean, we've seen it happen with the 2020 Royal Rumble, because Royal Rumbles, like I said, it's all about the storyline. I absolutely love the booking of the 2020 Royal Rumble because it took you on an emotional journey. You hated Brock Lesnar until Drew McIntyre eliminated him, and then it became so fun, that Royal Rumble, and then you had the return of Edge and stuff like that as well. But here, it wasn't really that much exciting, unfortunately. And I wish that one day WWE decides to change it up and have new stars, but the way that WWE is going, especially with these massive budget cuts, it's not going to happen. They're just going to keep relying on part-timers. So when Brock Lesnar won, I was cracking up. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I was cracking up because I'm like, what else do we expect? They're not going to take the chance with anyone else, unfortunately. So coming this WrestleMania, we're going to get Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns one night, maybe in Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey the second night. So let's just strap on our seatbelts, get your popcorn ready, or whatever type of food you have, wings, cheesesteaks on my end, probably those 2 nights. Well, no, not the 2 nights, but at least one night will be cheesesteaks. Grab whatever beer, wine, water, juice, milk if you're Kurt Angle. And yeah, let's get ready to watch the part-timers. But that is what it is now with the Royal Rumble. They took the chance with someone new, with Drew McIntyre in 2020. They took a chance with Bianca Belair in 2021, and this time around, they're not going to do it because they have to fill up Jerry World. And in order to get 100,000 seats in there, it's going to be Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey. And maybe Royal Rumble 2023 may be different. I highly doubt it, because that means they would have to be taking a chance with someone else, and they would have to, after WrestleMania, start building up new stars. But we will see what happens. But overall, this was a very boring Royal Rumble, and I hate saying that, because the 30 men that was in the Royal Rumble and the 30 women that was in the Royal Rumble really put themselves out there. A lot of the legends got out there and took bumps and stuff like that. And I'm just sitting here in front of a mic telling them, like, yeah, what y'all did was boring, but it is what it is. Props to them for putting themselves on the line, but the booking just didn't help them at all. The result didn't hurt them, as far as like who the winner was, but the booking is what really hurt them. So getting into the other matches, let's start out with the WWE Universal Championship between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. The Usos were banned from ringside. So I was a little surprised that Roman Reigns had came out first. I didn't understand why the champion came out first, especially with the tribal chief coming out first. And then next thing I know, I hear Sierra, Hotel, India, Echo, and I'm like, stop it. Like, we're going, the trolling has hit an all-time high. Not only did Seth Rollins come out with the Shield entrance through the crowd, which I was pretty impressed by, but he also was wearing the full gear. I mean, he went through the whole entrance, including the Rollins roll over the barricade. Comes in, and then one of my favorite spots, and the gif that was created about it, I will use a hell of a lot of times, is when Roman Reigns was getting into Seth Rollins' face and Seth Rollins was looking away like, come on, dude, like, come on. I held that plenty of times. You worked how long for that? Um, and so this match was pretty good. A lot of good storytelling. Um, I am like I get that we are doing the storytelling from way back with the Shield, which I thought was pretty interesting. I was just a little surprised we didn't get this sooner, that, we had to connect it from, you know, how long it's been? Well over 7 years ago. And I'm surprised that we didn't like get this a lot sooner than what we did now. But I guess with Roman Reigns being the tribal chief, the crowd was a bit confused because this is a heel versus heel type of situation. So it's like, well, who do if you're a casual fan who, you go straight by the story, who is it that you would root for, because Roman Reigns is obviously a heel, Seth Rollins is also a heel, so it's like, who is the bad guy in this situation? But, fans like us who, I get on, you can't even call us marks. I'm not a mark, but, people who are keen to this, look outside the story, I should say, just having the time of our lives, because this was Seth Rollins just straight up trolling the hell out of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns not having someone to really mess with him mentally, having to try to keep his composure together, because, as the tribal chief, he's calm, cool, and collected. He's in God mode and all this other stuff that he was saying. And you see cracks throughout the match of, Seth Rollins trying to get the Shield fist bump and everything, just cackling. I would love to reenact Seth Rollins' laugh, but I won't do it justice. And the match was all good towards the end, where, Seth Rollins was in the guillotine, and the ref, Charles Robinson, I believe, went to put. And I found it weird because normally whenever Roman Reigns does the guillotine, normally they don't even raise the hands. They just call it. They just say, "Hey, you up? You okay? Are you okay?" It kind of reminds me of CPR class when you check to see if someone's okay. And they say you're supposed to like touch the person's shoulders and be like, "Are you okay?" Like real loud. Except for the refs, they don't touch shoulders. They just say, "Are you okay?" real loud. If you don't respond, they call it. So I found it pretty weird that, we were doing the "is your arm gonna drop?" But the ref like clearly dropped his hand right on the rope, and the camera was like clearly right there. So it's not like they could like get away with not trying to let it be known. So that was a bit distracting. And then we get the DQ finish, which it always confuses me when WWE decides to go with the DQ finish to quote unquote make sure that everyone is strong, when wins and losses don't even matter in WWE. And WWE just loves to do their DQs if they are so afraid of their booking, which is crazy because they love to make strong people look weak. Big E, excuse me. But when it comes to like a match between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, they are just so afraid of like coming to a decision that they just do the DQ. So I guess they can continue the feud. But it was just a little confusing because now we have Brock Lesnar into the picture and everything. And like if I was booking this, you could have Roman Reigns snap. I was completely fine with Roman Reigns snapping because Seth Rollins was clearly doing the whole Joker and Batman type of situation where it seems like Seth Rollins didn't even really care to win. I mean, he wanted to win, but it felt like he didn't really care to win. He just wanted to fuck with Roman Reigns' head. And so you could have had him snap, you could easily had Seth Rollins, roll out to the outside as the ref counting, he grabs the mic and just cut a promo. Start fucking with Roman Reigns' head some more and stuff like that. And you can have the cat and mouse game, like every time Roman Reigns, go to the outside to get Seth Rollins comes in, start cackalaacking and all the other stuff. And you could have easily had like Roman Reigns snap. I wouldn't have chose the guillotine and him not letting go. Like I would have definitely been okay with him like taking a chair, just going to town with Seth Rollins, and that would have made both of them look strong. Truthfully, that would made it would have went a lot better as far as going strong versus what we got with the guillotine. Because it's like, yeah, you mean you're passing him out, but you're not doing any damage. Like with someone to mess with you, especially with Roman Reigns saying I hate you and all that other stuff. If you're at that point where you're telling someone I hate you, you don't want them to pass out. You want to fuck them up. Like you want to take a chair and just go wailing on them, like we saw after he was DQ'd. So I think if he had just went with the whole whacking Seth Rollins with the chair, that would have been a lot better. The crowd, of course, turned immediately. Shout out to St. Louis once again with doing such a great job with oh my gosh, my words. With staying with the match. Of course, when it was the DQ, they immediately started booing stuff like that. And like I said, I'm just confused about what we're gonna do because we have Brock Lesnar here. Are they going to continue this matchup to? I thought it was like, okay, maybe they'll continue this with Elimination Chamber, which is not because Seth Rollins is going to be in Elimination Chamber. And so that leaves what the hell is Roman Reigns? What is the hell is Roman Reigns going to do for the Elimination Chamber? And it's like, dude, like I'm just confused about what are we doing here? Like, are we leading this like because eventually they have to go towards Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, obviously for WrestleMania. So and this see the type of this type of feud between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, it really isn't a one-off. Like that intensity to this storyline, you can't do one-off. Like this needs to be like a cool like 2-3 months type of storyline if they're able to really like, play it out very well. So maybe this could have been done around SummerSlam time where you need a really hot feud to kind of carry on the momentum after WrestleMania. So that could have definitely worked. But now that we got Brock Lesnar in the mix, like I'm very confused at what we're going to do here. Are we talking like triple threat possibly, which would make no sense because that would be like you're doing too many storylines at once because you have the whole Paul Heyman situation and Brock Lesnar, and now we got Seth Rollins added to the mix. So it's just like, it just goes back to what I'm saying about them putting 100% into something and not to someone else. Like you got Roman Reigns with potentially 3 damn storylines. And there's people in catering just hoping they get a fucking match on main event. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's just very frustrating. This match went for a little under 15 minutes. But I was good. I was good, fine with the match until towards the end. I felt as though it could have been booked a lot better. Getting into the WWE Raw Women's Championship, we had Becky Lynch versus Doudrop. Unfortunately, was not that interesting, and including the crowd because the WrestleMania sign was on fire after it was popping off for Ronda Rousey. It actually caught fire. They had to evacuate the fans and get it, put the fire out. And then according to a fan that was there, they actually had the fans empty out the section again so that when Brock Lesnar points to the sign that the pyro will go off for him, which I thought was kind of interesting that you rather just set the whole damn place on fire so that Brock Lesnar can get his shot, his the last shot of the pay-per-view event than the safety of the fans that was in that section. But it is what it is. But as far as with this match was for 13 minutes, and it's kind of crazy because if this was against Piper instead of Doudrop, I'd probably be a lot more excited. The unfortunate thing for the women's division is that the same thing with what's going on with the men's and kind of what everybody is complaining about, that there is so much attention put on like 1 or 2 people that you're not building up new stars. You're not building up any viable number 1 contenders, I should say. I had no, like there was 0% of me believing that Doudrop was going to win this title. It's always fun when you have a championship match where it can go either way. Like with, for example, whenever it was Rock and Austin, it can go either way. When it was the Charlotte versus Sasha Banks, how, the title can change hands either way type of situation. But when you have like Becky Lynch versus Doudrop, Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan, and I know there's Liv Morgan fans out there who really wanted her to win the title, and that would have been a great surprise, and that would have been like a shocker. But it's like WWE just doesn't know how to book number one contenders or new stars. So, that's why we're getting Ronda Rousey back. That's why, we had the Bellas back. That's why we got Lita back. And as we saw with Raw after the Royal Rumble, now we're going to have Lita going against Becky Lynch, which is like, come on, man. Like, I understand it. I'm a big fan of Lita. I really am. But it's just kind of frustrating that we go back to the part-timers because there isn't enough attention put towards your current roster to create new stars and viable number one contenders. Like, if they treat it, and I know a lot of people kind of like go back to the Attitude Era because of the stars and stuff like that. I tend to go back to the Attitude Era because of the creative freedom and how, like, kind of very similar to AEW, the way AEW is. Like, I'm not saying AEW is Attitude Era, but I'm talking as far as the creative freedom. When you have creative freedom, you have wrestlers who believe in their characters. And so you'll have multiple, like we see in the men's division. Women's division, talk to me in a couple of years. Like we have with the men's division, we have a lot of wrestlers who could easily like main event a Dynamite, or even like it's like you'll be excited from top to bottom. Like, yeah, it was always, the argument is always, yeah, there was always, a couple of guys at the top. But it's like, yeah, but the mid card and the cruiserweight division, the women's division, were just as good. To where as though top from bottom, you were like completely entertained. Like, you know how in like UFC or something like that, it's like this bomb behind main event, but it's just like so many of these undercards that you don't tune into the pay-per-view until like 11 o'clock. That's how it was back when Tyson was fighting. Like, I cannot tell you who the hell was on the undercards when Tyson was fighting. We will always tune in to probably like 11:30 or something like that. The event, the boxing event, could start at 7 o'clock. Everyone knows, tune in at 11:30 to catch Tyson. And that's kind of how it sort of like feels like for the past couple of years, whereas though the mid card is just like with the men's rumble, the mid card, it was mainly all mid card people. They just go, oh, that's boring. And it really shouldn't be that way. Like, you should be excited, like, oh shit, here go, like, for example, oh shit, here comes Kofi Kingston. Oh, here comes Big E type of situation. And like, this match, it should be a match that be exciting because you have multiple stars. Like in the Attitude Era, not only did you have like Rock and Austin and Triple H and stuff like that, but you also had, especially during the Ruthless Aggression era, you had Brock Lesnar, you had Kurt Angle, you had Rey Mysterio, you had Eddie Guerrero, you had Chyna, you had like a lot of different women and a lot of different cruiserweights, and you had the tag team division, like fucking the Dudley's, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys. Like, it was just like a bomb situation from top to bottom. And that's kind of what WWE is missing. And that's because they are completely fine just, just drifting along the way they are. I mean, it's working. They make record breaking profits and everything. So they are completely fine with having just putting all their eggs and, their writers completely concentrating on the top 5 wrestlers in their company, and everyone else just fucking kick rocks. And that's kind of how it feels with Doudrop. Like, you setting this person up to fail with that name Doudrop, first of all. And you're not really, like I had said with Walter, when you change a name like that of someone in your own company, you are wiping away all the hard work that she has done in NXT UK. You could easily have said, hey, look, we got this cool ass person from NXT UK, Piper, and look at what she done and kind of like build that rapport with her. But unfortunately, once again, like we saw with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, you have another heel versus heel type of situation, and the casuals don't know who the fuck to cheer for. Because it's like, you are holding your breath. I mean, Becky Lynch, yeah, I mean, she gets cheered, and that's because of the nostalgia of when she was the man. She is no longer the man. She is Becky Two Belts. Um, and so the fans are like wanting to cheer for her because of that situation, but you're kind of holding your breath because eventually it's going to be her versus Bianca Belair. And her going against Doudrop, like it's just not, the storytelling is not there at all. So unfortunately this match really suffered. I will admit I was watching this out the corner of my eye while I was playing PlayStation when this happened. I already knew the end result of it. It was just a matter of how we're gonna get there. The crowd wasn't into it, of course, because of the WrestleMania sign situation. I don't think they would have been interested in this match either way. So unfortunately for these women, this match wasn't, it was boring. It was boring. So next we're going to come up with the Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar match for the WWE Championship. I loved the video package of this match. Like, I love the fact that we were on this whole, they both went to MMA and, 20 years, Brock Lesnar been ducking Lashley. Like, this was the match that we were looking forward to for so many years, ever since Bobby Lashley had came back. So I love the video package. And I kind of love the storytelling in this as well. This was all about two badass motherfuckers who, you know, going toe to toe each other. Brock Lesnar giving the suplexes to Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, he definitely was trying not to land, all crazy like John Cena be doing whenever he gets the Brock Lesnar suplexes, and a few times he no sold it. So when it comes to no selling, I am like, I lean towards more that I don't really like it unless it like kind of makes sense. Like Undertaker no selling, or the Fiend no selling makes sense. They are supernatural. They are not human type of situation. When it happens in AEW, like Hook no selling, I know people love Hook. I know there's a lot of hookers out there and stuff like that. I'm a fan of Hook, but I fucking hate when he no sells sometimes. Like, he was going against one of the guys from Bear Country, and he no sold a move on them, and I fucking hated it because I'm like, kid, I fucking weigh more than you, and I would have sold that. So it's like, come on, dude. Just because you have very good calf muscles and you're able to really suplex very well if your dad, doesn't mean that you are allowed to no sell. Don't come at me in my DMs about Hook, okay? I'm a fan of Hook, so, but I'm just telling the truth about it all. So Bobby Lashley no selling the Brock Lesnar suplexes. I was like, you could at least say ouch a little bit, just I get it, you got the muscles and stuff like that. You got the back muscles and shit where you can just bounce up type situation. But I wasn't really feeling it too much. I did appreciate the fact that he was giving Brock Lesnar suplexes right back. So this was basically like who could suplex who better type of situation. And so I enjoyed the match. Like, I was sitting there thinking, like, damn, man, can you imagine if this was fucking Keith Lee versus Brock Lesnar? Like, that's what's frustrating to me, and I've said it time and time again, how WWE doesn't, for as money hungry and as shitty as WWE can be, like, they're not shitty in the good way. Like, you don't milk your wrestlers for all the money you can get out of them. Like, where's that Vince McMahon who would just like milk all that you can out of these wrestlers? You could have easily had Keith Lee versus Brock Lesnar. We didn't get it. Like, I'm frustrated about it. Like, the only time we can get that back is, the time at the Royal Rumble in 2020 when Brock Lesnar was like, whoa, look at this big guy. He was pointing to him and stuff like that. Like, oh, this is a big guy. I like this. That would have been cool. But unfortunately, we didn't get it. We had the Bearcat type of Keith Lee, so it's just frustrating. But I liked this match between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. And I kind of predicted that we would probably get an interference in this match. It didn't go the way I thought it would have gone. Like, Roman Reigns showed up. Well, obviously we knew something was going to happen when there was the obvious referee get taken out spot, and then we had Roman Reigns come in, and um, funny part, he did the Superman punch or a spear, I forgot which one it was, to Brock Lesnar. And then he walks over to Paul Heyman and put out his hand, and you see Paul Heyman's face, like you see him, like you see the hard eyes come on. Like I know Valentine's Day is on a Monday, but I wish it was on a Friday just so we can have a vignette of Paul Heyman giving an ode of love to his tribal chief. I hope they still do that. Like, if Vince McMahon is listening, please have Paul. If Paul Heyman's listening, sir, first of all, I love you. Okay, ECW, EC all the way, EC for life. But can you please do a segment where you give an ode of love to the tribal chief? Like, I need Roman Reigns to stand in the middle of the ring like he's Brock Lesnar, and you just profess your love to the tribal chief. And I hope the crowd, stays silent for it, because I want to hear the enunciation of every single word in that ode. And thank you very much. That I'm trademarking that. Okay, don't fucking take my idea if you're from the creative team. Okay, I want my royalties if you use my idea. However, we got Roman Reigns. He reaches his hand for the title. Paul Heyman gives it to him. He hits him with the title, goes to leave, and fucking two-timing Paul Heyman. I was like, yo, this is straight up Maurice show type of shit. Paul Heyman just fucking leaves Brock Lesnar, says, "See you, bitch." For my people out there who've been watching wrestling for a long time, this gave me vibes of Sunny when she was a fucking manager. When Sunny used to be a manager, she came out with the Body Donnas, I think they were called, and she was manager of them, and I forgot the first team that she had went along with. But it was like a tag team match or something like that for the title. I know the teams that she eventually ended up with. Like, she followed the tag team title. Like, when you win the tag team title, you won Sunny, and Sunny would come out with the matching outfit. Like, she was the manager of the Smoking Guns, and then she was the manager of oh my gosh, what's the name? It was Phineas and the other guy, the Godwins. She was a manager of the Godwins, and she was the manager of another tag team too. I know she was manager with Legion of Doom when they revitalized, but that was later. But she used to follow the tag team titles. And when I saw Paul Heyman walked away, I was like, yo, this is exactly what the fuck Sunny used to do. Hope he's not, I don't know if the sleeping around comes with this in 2022, but Paul Heyman follows the title. So now he walked out. He is, with his new man, Roman Reigns, and so now Brock Lesnar is without Paul Heyman, which storyline wise is kind of confusing, because I thought they did drop the hints whenever Paul Heyman was like, don't talk to him like that. Like, straight up, like, I broke up with my ex of 10 years. I'm with my new guy, and my new guy's trying to fight my ex who I still have feelings for. Like, it was straight up like, oh my gosh, like, turn to any show on CW back in the 2000s and it would be this situation. And so Paul Heyman walks away. Bobby Lashley looks around, goes, "Oh shit, Brock Lesnar's down. Let me pretend I don't know what's going on. 1, 2, 3, we got a new champion." And I'm not mad at that. I really like Bobby Lashley, especially this Bobby Lashley. I've been waiting for this Bobby Lashley since that stupid ass, Bobby Lashley bending over and spreading fucking cheeks like this was an episode of Oz or something like that. And the Lashley, I'm so happy we're away from that, and from the rebound with Lana, and that whole disastrous storyline. I am so happy we got this Bobby Lashley. I am so happy we got this Bobby Lashley. And so now he's champion again. I don't know for how long, because now he's going to be defending his title in the Elimination Chamber in Saudi. And that made my heart drop, because whenever they do things in Saudi Arabia, they know that crowd will cheer for anything, and which means they can get away from it. They can get away with whatever they want to do. So Bobby Lashley can drop his title like the finger poke of doom, and they'll pop for it, and the rest of us is just gonna have to just the gif of Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, just feverishly typing away and stuff like that. That's going to be all of us on Saturday, if they were to do that to Bobby Lashley. I'm hoping he goes into WrestleMania with the title. I'm hoping he leaves with the title. There is this tease of title versus title type of situation. Don't do it. No, Vince, don't do it. Cue up the no, please God, no. You don't need one title. I know they have a very small roster now that they let go of half of America's wrestlers in the past 2 years, but no, we need a second title so other people can get a chance. But I'm happy that Bobby Lashley had won the title. Now, going into the match that I completely forgot about, Edge and Beth Phoenix going against The Miz and Maurice. Shout out to Beth Phoenix for that Luna, for the tribute to Luna Vachon, with the and I loved it. The Luna used to have the makeup on the side of her face where it looked like veins. It used to creep me the fuck out when I first started watching wrestling when I was young. It used to creep me the hell out, but then as I watched Luna, I became like a fan of her. I was a secret fan, because everybody had went for I think it was Alundra Blaze at that time, or then it became Sable, I think, at one point too. I think her and Sable went against each other. But I was a fan of Luna. Like, she was so damn different. Like, she wasn't, and I appreciated it because it wasn't like the pretty blonde type of situation. She was just like, look, I'm here to fuck shit up and just scream at you about it. So shout out to Beth Phoenix for that. And this match, with these mixed tag team matches, it is what it is. Like, you just kind of go through the motions. You wait for the spot where, we saw Beth Phoenix get some attack against The Miz and everything like that. Look, the last time that I like popped for anything in a mixed tag team match was when I saw fucking live. It was Extreme Rules in Philly. It was Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins versus Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin. Now, while you may say, what the fuck are you talking about, Jaydee? You cheered something that had Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin in it? Yes. You know why? Because fucking Baron Corbin did the end of days to Becky Lynch. And I became a fan of Baron Corbin in that moment. Because I was like, yes, okay, equal rights, equal fights, okay? Any woman can get it. Like, and she took it. She sold it. It was a beautiful moment. All of Philly popped for it. I was sitting there like, one more time type of situation. I might get canceled for it. I'm a woman, but like, come on, equal rights, equal fights. Everybody loved it when Nia Jax, probably for different reasons, but still, when Nia Jax entered the Royal Rumble and she had the 619 and the super kick and the RKO, like, let's do it. Like, I would have been fine with her versus The Miz. Like, I don't want to get into it because then it's going to go all political and all that other stuff, but I wouldn't have mind to see Beth Phoenix and The Miz just, go all out type of situation. I mean, wrestling is violence anyway. I mean, we had what? People got busted open purposely. We had, what was the last thing? We had someone get burned alive. We had someone have a fireball shot in their face type of situation. So why can't Beth Phoenix take a skull crushing finale? I would have popped for that. But like I said, when it comes to these mixed tag team matches, you kind of like go through the motions. You already know what's going to happen. One woman, the heel woman, is going to run away from the face woman. They chase all around and stuff like that. You tag in the men go at and stuff like that, unless it's reversed. And then you will get, the two women back in again. The heel woman will get herself tagged out, or vice versa on the sexes. But the heel will tag out, and then you have the woman and the man in the ring. The woman's facing down the man and stuff like that, and sitting there like, oh, you can't touch me type of situation, and she'll slap him, stuff like that. And the heel guy will look like he's about to hit her, but then the face guy comes in, and it's the same thing, cookie cutter type of match all over again. That's why I like really popped for that Baron Corbin and Becky Lynch spot, because that was very unexpected. And so it really went back and forth. And quite honestly, as much as I really liked Edge and Beth Phoenix, and there were some cool moves about it and stuff like that, it was just like, I don't know, you just kind of like went through the motions with this. I mean, Maurice struck Beth Phoenix from behind with her purse, um, possibly with a brick in her purse, something like that. She did the Hurricanrana on Edge from the top rope. Shout out to her for doing that. Um, and then Miz tried to do the scroll crushing finale on Edge, but and then we had the cool shot of Edge and Beth Phoenix doing the double spear on the Miz, and then they did the glam slam on both of them for the win. It's pretty much like if you go back to the Miz Maurice and John Cena and Nikki Bella, I can probably tell you it went pretty much the same way. And that's pretty much for any type of mixed tag team where it was, husband and wife versus husband and wife type of situation, or boyfriend and girlfriend versus boyfriend and girlfriend. Like even if you go to AEW, when it was Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander, like I appreciated the fact that Adam Cole was going to do the Panama Sunrise on Chris Statlander. I appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that like we already knew that Britt Baker was going to attack Orange Cassidy and stuff like that. But I appreciated the fact that Adam Cole, at least went to attempt to do the Panama Sunrise, just to say, like, you can get it too. And I agree with that. Like I said, equal rights, equal fights. When it comes to wrestling, okay? Don't come at me. When it comes to wrestling, equal rights, equal fights, okay? Because there are some, I'm not going to get into it, but, Beth Phoenix got bigger muscles than some of the guys in WWE, so I don't get why she can't go toe to toe. Like I appreciate it when with Chyna when she won the title. Like yeah, even with Beth Phoenix when they won the IC title or whatever, and they had matches and stuff. Like there are some women who are in wrestling who are stronger than some men. Jade Cargill is stronger than some men in AEW. So it's like, come on, you can't sit there and tell me that they can't go toe to toe with someone like Beth Phoenix can't go fucking toe to toe with The Miz. So that's why I'm like, when it comes to these mixed matches, like the fun is the interaction between Edge and Beth Phoenix mainly, and then whatever type of fun spot you get at the end. But with like these type of matches, you kind of go through the motions with it. So like as far as this mixed tag team match, like I was okay with it. Like I wasn't like really excited to see this match, but I was like, it is what it is. Um but overall, the Royal Rumble was kind of underwhelming, which is a shame. Like I said, this is supposed to be one of the big four pay-per-views. This is the start to WrestleMania weekend. This is the time where the fans are wondering, especially the international fans, are wondering, why should I spend thousands of dollars to take a plane to go to AT&T Stadium and buy tickets for 2 nights? Because now it's harder for WWE, because not only do they have to sell out the AT&T Stadium, they have to sell it out twice for WrestleMania. So they should have been pulling out all the stops. Like WWE woke up January 1st and says, "Oh snap, we got to fill up AT&T Stadium twice." Like no. Y'all had this planned out like well over a year in advance. Y'all should have been planning at that point, okay, what matches are we trying to set up, and let's work towards those matches. What new stars are we going to be working on that will help us fill up that AT&T Stadium? Because you can't just have Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey, and expect people to spend thousands of dollars just for those 2 matches. I mean, there are people who will do it, but I'm just saying in general. Like, I'm not going to be spending. That's why, I want to go to LA Mania. I want to go to LA Mania. But I'm sitting here, like, first of all, it's going to be 2 nights again. I'm not traveling, and I'm not the biggest fan of airplanes. I'm not fucking getting on an airplane to go across the country for fucking Goldberg. Okay, let me put that out there. Putting it out there in the universe. Okay, Vince McMahon, if you don't want my money, if you want my money, don't put Goldberg on there. Okay, don't have Goldberg fucking main event anything. Goldberg should be, well, no, Goldberg was already a Hall of Famer. Goldberg should be fucking coming out like Stone Cold in the Rock type of situation. Like Goldberg should be fucking valet or something like that. So I'm not paying money for Goldberg to main event. So WE should have been like planning this well in advance and saying, hey, let's get as many people as we can to be excited for this WrestleMania. Not just the general excitement that is WrestleMania, but excitement in the air like it was for like WrestleMania 35. Like when WrestleMania 35 was coming around, there was so much excitement in the air because of Kofi Mania, because of not Beth, because of Becky Lynch, because of Seth Rollins. There was a lot of things going on that made a lot of people excited about it. So that's it for the WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Let me give some shout outs. Shout out to Julian Rob Bass from Wrestling Court Podcast and UnturtedMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Chris from We Talk Next podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show. I was just on one of the recent episodes, and I was also on the Three and Out podcast with Chris as well. If you like football, definitely check out the most recent episode. I was on there, and we talked about the crazy behind playoffs that had just recently happened. Also, shout out to Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast. If you love the not even Black and Gold NXT, but like way back of the NXT, definitely check out that podcast. They go through previous episodes there. Shout out to Devin Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling Podcast. They just celebrated their 3rd year anniversary, so check that out. Also, special shout outs to Straight Talk Wrestling, Circle of Debate. Check out their latest episode. I will be on there as well. Also, shout out to Jofo in the Ring and Top Rope Wrestling Talk. Coming up next week, I will be talking more about what's going on with the recaps of the shows as we go towards the Elimination Chamber, which is supposed to happen on the 19th, and also Revolution, which I think may be in March, maybe. I forgot when it's supposed to be coming out. But as we, start to get started with there. Also, there are wrestlers who 90 days are up. So excited to see where people go from here. I'm excited for the landscape of wrestling as we know it. And so I can't wait to see the new opportunities for some of these wrestlers. You can hop on Twitter and follow me at JDC137. That's JAYDEE, the letter C, 137. And you can also find the podcast on Twitter at WrestleBread. You can click the links in the profile to get the Instagram pages for both, the Facebook page for the podcast, also TikTok, YouTube as well. Leave a review. Let me know your thoughts, how you felt about the Royal Rumble. And until next time, guys, peace.